Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, and it is time to discuss the Snyder Cut. So, Justice League, the Snyder Cut, it is coming to us as a 4-part epic event next year, 4 hours, once a week, so that'll be cool. I'm definitely just going to wait till the end of the month, and I'll just watch them all at once, because that's how cheap I am, but I'm excited. I'll admit, I didn't care at all because I thought, Justice League was fine. I hate this movie personally, but it was the closest one that I had. I have my Batman, I have a Sailor Moon Wonder Woman shirt. I was like, Batman v Superman really connects with the Justice League and all that stuff. And as much as I truly hate Batman v Superman, I know a lot of people dislike Justice League far more. I thought Justice League was better because Batman v Superman bores the F out of me, and I've seen it once, and I hate it. But I'm excited for this one. Justice League, I thought was okay. I definitely didn't think it was like amazing or anything, and they did a bunch of stupid stuff. Super easy to catch, how much stupid stuff they did in this movie. Just everything they did, really. I mean, the Superman death, they kill him in the movie, then they just bring him back in the next one. It was like, well, what a waste. Doomsday, what a waste. Just lots of things. So now we have the Snyder Cut. We have our 4-hour epic. We got Darkseid. We have Black Suit Superman, which I gotta admit, it looks really cool. I know they released that trailer a while ago, but I didn't care to look because I'm like, it was clear that it was like 12 seconds or something. It was just showing him in the black suit. And I was like, okay, I can look at the thumbnails of everyone posting about it. And I was like, that's good enough for me. I don't care. So it looks nice. It's cool, simple CG. I heard apparently that Zack Snyder specifically asked the costume designer to make it a way that was easy to turn into the black suit. So that was a genius idea because he wanted the black suit in the movie, but the higher ups were like, no, we're going to keep it as regular Superman, even though it's just a classic thing. The people at the top, even though they're in the business, they run the businesses, and yet somehow they're the ones who understand it least. It's just a crazy thing. It's like, you kill Superman, you shouldn't bring him back in the next movie to begin with, but you already did. You might as well at least give people the black suit. Like, that's, even if it's not the exact suit where it's, it's the black suit without the cape and, he's got the mullet and stuff. At the very least, make it the same suit, but, the black and silver suit. I don't know how they're going to explain that. That would be interesting to see. Maybe they had that dialogue in there just as a precaution, and we'll get that. Or maybe it'll just be a black suit. I assume that there's going to be some sort of scene where they specifically address that, like him having, the black and silver suit. So it'll be cool to see that. But Steppenwolf looks way cooler. He looks like he's one of those enemies in a game that just like shoots out spikes. Like he looks so sharp in this with the new design, but it looks way cooler. So I was like, all right, Steppenwolf looks like just a giant spiky metal thing, and I'm fine with that. Darkseid exists. That's cool. I would assume, based on the scene that we got, I assume that that's in the flashback where they show like the big battle that was on Themyscira. Maybe they'll swap out Steppenwolf, and Apocalypse will have showed up in that very first one, or maybe not. He shows up somewhere, so that's just the one that made the most sense, because I'm like, okay, he showed up in the past to do it, and this time it was like, all right, I'll just send Steppenwolf because we've gotten stronger, and I've got other things to do, because they could build up and just say he's doing something else, so he sent me this time. So maybe we'll get that. I mean, we got 4 hours to find out, so it'll be really interesting. I was happy to see it. We got to see, or we're going to get to see, I should say, Flash saving Iris, so that was pretty cool. I watched like the really early previs version of that back on, I guess after the movie released. They, all the scenes that didn't exist in the movie anymore, that was one of the scenes where I was like, why didn't they put that in? That looks so cool. So finally we're gonna have that back in there. Apparently we're just gonna have Cyborg in general. He's actually gonna have a storyline, so that would be nice. So even though they kind of spoiled that his dad dies in it, where he just blows up, classic Watchmen style, like it was the exact same visual effect. I kind of wish they didn't show that, but I guess I assumed he was dead. I don't really remember. Honestly, I don't think his dad is even in the movie. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a minute since I watched, because I don't really care. The only movie I've liked is Wonder Woman and Shazam, so I don't really care to rewatch any of the DC movies. But I'm pretty sure he's not even in the film. If he is, then he's in... Yeah, I don't think he's in this one. I don't think his dad was even in this movie. I think he was in Batman v Superman when they did the random scene where they just had all the footage of everybody. And I think that was when they showed Cyborg, like, transforming. And that was it. Because I don't think his dad shows up in this. They didn't have any of the flashback stuff where he was playing football or any of this stuff. So we're basically just getting... we got 4 hours. So we're clearly going to be getting a lot of new content, because they had nothing for Cyborg, and that was one of the biggest things. He like just shows up in the movie, and then he's just in the movie. They don't really build his character up, and he was one of the people that was being first introduced. They basically were like, well, we could do an introduction for Cyborg, but let's save time, cut all that crap out because we got Flash. So it was like, all right, I guess that's it then. So he's the only character who doesn't get a real introduction, and that was about it. Everyone else genuinely did except for Cyborg. Like Aquaman kind of had an introduction, not much as Aquaman so much. I mean, he literally goes to Atlantis, and that's one of my I hate that scene in the movie so much, and maybe that was from the rewrites and the reshoots and stuff. So I'm very excited to see how that scene changes, because one of the things that bugged me so much when I first saw Justice League was Aquaman going to Atlantis. He literally does not say Hera's name. They have a whole conversation. He doesn't say her name once, and then he leaves. And I was like, okay, I know who she is. I watched the animated movies. I've read some comics. I watched all the old cartoons. I know who characters are. Anyone who does not know anything about Aquaman just saw this dude go underwater, had a little conversation where they like portaled out the water and it was a little, spiraling around them. Cool visual. He goes into this portal. He talks with a random red-haired woman. They have a conversation because they know each other. We've never seen this woman in our lives. This is obviously before Aquaman. We don't know who the F she is. They just talk. I don't want to leave. I don't want to do this. I'm taking the box. And then he pieces out. Although I think they technically get attacked and then he takes off. And I'm like, okay, he just had a full conversation. It was like a 2-minute scene. It wasn't that long. But they had like a 2-minute conversation. And they did not say her name one time. And I'm like, that you can't do that. Like, as weird as it is when they do the exposition introduction for characters, like, hey, Annie, or they just say the character's name, and it's in moments where you normally wouldn't say that. You just have to put that in there. Like, it's just a natural thing. You have to do that unless you're going to bring that character back in later in the movie and they say the character's name, and then it's like, oh, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit odd because it just kind of goes off track of what we normally get in the movies. But at least we know the character. And people just didn't. Like, I would love to know the number of people that just were like, who is that woman? Because we don't know her. And he just left. He was in Atlantis. He talked to the woman who is like his future queen. All very important character in the DC universe. And it was just like, here's this woman he talked to. Doesn't say her name. I don't think she actually says his name. He goes in and they just talk. Which makes sense. They they don't have to. But movie-wise, you should. It's just that little bit of exposition that's always required. Just say people's names so people have some sort of clue. Like, what's happening? Who the F is this? Where are we? What? So, hopefully that's different in the 4-hour Snyder Cut, because it was just weird. It was like, at least say her name. It's got to be in there somewhere. They introduce each other. Just do it. I don't get that. So, that should be changed. I hope it is. I hope they have them saying each other's names, because that's just basic stuff. But we shall see. Ultimately, I'm looking forward to it. This is far beyond what I ever thought it was going to be, because I was like, okay, if they do a Snyder Cut, people were fighting for it for such a long time. I was like, all right. In my head, I always thought if they did a Snyder Cut, it was just going to be, maybe an extra half hour, an extra hour longer. And that's not it. That's not the case. We're getting a 4-hour experience. Like, it's so different, and I'm excited to see that, because that's not something you get in movies, where it's the movie done up into 4 hours. Like, I think when Avengers Endgame was first coming out, they mentioned, like, if they put everything they had, that junk could be like 4 or 5 hours or something insane. I think they even mentioned like 6 hours, something just wild. Like, if we truly put in everything we had and we didn't like cut it for pacing and this and that, it would be like a 4 or 5 hour long movie. And people were like, sure, 6 hours, split, give us a real life intermission. We haven't had them since back in the day. Give us a 3-hour intermission. I'll come right back. People were saying it, and I wouldn't mind if we got, 6-hour Endgame. That would be pretty interesting. But we're getting 4-hour Justice League. I'm excited to see what they do. They seem like they're teasing a little bit more with Flashpoint as well, because they had Flash, wherever he was, it may or may not have been within the Speed Force, potentially. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm excited to see it, what they add to it, what they change around. I know that, Zack Snyder said that he won't be putting in anything that Joss Whedon did, so we'll be missing, like, it'll be really interesting to see that as well, because then it'll show, like, okay, this scene that happens at this point where you're expecting this to happen, because, as we watch it, we start to remember. So I was like, okay, this is what happened after that. That whole scene, that whole next moment could be gone, because he's not putting in any Joss Whedon stuff. This is all Zack Snyder, so it'll be interesting to see. It looked like Henry Cavill had a real face, so I was like, okay, cool. That didn't bother me when I first saw it, by the way. I didn't even Oddly enough, I don't think I even caught it when I was watching it. It was just like, oh, okay. I think I noticed something was a little off, but I didn't. It didn't register for me personally how weird it looked until I saw it like later, and then when it was just when people would point it out, and then I saw it after I watched the movie. Then I was like, oh, okay. Totally didn't notice that. I didn't care enough to even have that register in my brain. So that was fortunate for me, but I still saw the whole movie. But maybe this time it'll be great. So we'll see what happens. I am excited for it. I don't care nearly as much as the people that fought for it because I just didn't care that much. But I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Were you fighting for this? Are you like me, where it's like I didn't really care, but I'll definitely check it out because I want to see something better. I want to see something more because it really was just meh. It's okay. Steppenwolf looked like crap, but ultimately the movie's just like meh, whatever. So I'm excited for it. I would love to know your thoughts on it. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.